In the Quaker tradition, the understanding, and this is, I think, in many places, this is not particularly Quaker, um, the gift, the divine gift is not for you.
Mm.
The divine gift is for the community. We can define community in lots of different ways, and certainly, we might, the body of God, the community of the church. It's coming, what's coming through you. But I think I was also quite amused. I was thinking about the sort of charisma, we come to think of it as kind of related to the word charm, which has a completely different
Yes.
history, right?
Yeah.
Um, and it's French. It's not coming from the Greek, and so, but often we think of charisma as like, I was just kind of checking. So the Merriam-Webster, the English, like here in America, the personal magic of leadership arousing special loyalty or enthusiasm.
Right.
His success was from his charisma. So it's kind of reference to almost like this magical thing. And it's a place where I think that the relationship between divine gift and magic is like a rich, fertile place for exploration. Other people would say that one should sternly separate the two.
Yes.
But regardless of that, it's like, but there's no either way, like whether you're thinking of it as like a form of an incantation or as a like the power of the speaking is such that others are drawn to you, right? That's part of
Mm.
what some forms of incantation can do. So the charisma is speaking out, and people, there's a phenomenal series, BBC series, looking at the new guru, I think is what it's called. It's really great, and it's looking at online, gurus in the online world, and in Instagram and other social media platforms, and recognizing that so much of their power is coming because people are not trusting the prevailing institutional forms.
Yeah.
And so they're going to these online spaces, and they're kind of doing this very, very human thing of, they're drawn to that which has a lot of charisma attached to it. And as you
Mhm.
and I, as we both know, with that comes profound danger. Um,
Yes.
because that charisma, as in the Quaker community, where I'm as again, and this continues to inform the communities that I'm cultivating. Like this teaching for
Yeah.
me is like one of the most important, is that like the gift is for the community. It's not about you. If people like you, it's like one of my first lessons I received from my elders was like, if you give powerful, charismatic ministry and they kind of people crush on you. If they
Yeah.
really like what you're saying, they don't like, it's not you that they like. They are attending to what's coming through you. And you cannot confuse whatever that
Mm.
initial admiration that they might like feel towards you with you, because otherwise your ego is misplaced, and you're
Yeah.
actually, it doesn't have to do with you. It has to
It,
do with what's coming through you.
it's so costly as well.
Oh.
The I remember like very early in my journey of finding a voice
Mm.
and stepping into the kind of public roles that I've had in the times that we've known each other. I remember I can think of a single occasion on which I let myself enjoy
Mm.
a small group of people projecting onto me.
Mm.
And I can think of the damage that just what seemed like a relatively brief moment as a young man, you know, enjoying a new kind of attention that I'd not had before. The way in which I became tangled up with, or the way in which some of the people who were there became tangled up with me, and the cost that that had for me in over a year or so that followed. And I was lucky because it was on a very small scale. It's not a story that anybody particularly knows about or that needs uh, telling in any detail, but it was enough to tell me, like, as soon as you feel that projection coming at you, just step
Mm.
to the side. It's like Aikido. let it pass, let it go on to something bigger than you. And the other thing that really helped me with that was Martin Shaw, the
Mm,
storyteller,
mm,
good friend, long before his kind of dramatic return to Christianity. I remember reading in one of his books a passage, it was in Scatterlings, where he talked about the role of prayer in the kind of charismatic and evangelical churches that he grew up around, which were a bit different to the kind of church where my dad was a minister. And he said, yeah, so, you'll have these prophetic preachers who roll around, the kind of people where the energy that's coming through them is not something that would be helpful to have every Sunday morning. So they move around and they show up a couple of times a year to a particular church, and something big happens when they're there. And part of what prayer is doing in the moment where somebody has allowed something big to come through them into that room is to keep everyone, including the person it came through and everyone else in that room, oriented to the sense that it came from somewhere beyond them and not from them. And I read that a few days after I'd seen Martin telling a story at a Dark Mountain event, which was that was I've seen Martin in front of a lot of audiences, but that was one of the most powerful, probably the most powerful telling that I've seen him give. And at the end of it, as he often does, he did this little ritual where he said, so, in front of you, there are three golden apples hanging in the air. And, one of them is for the story, to feed the story. One of them is for you. The other one is to throw over your shoulder because the ancestors, if we've done any good here, then the ancestors are leaning in. So this apple is to feed them so that they do not eat our lives. And he
mm,
gets everyone taking part in that little ritual at the end of the telling. I'm like, okay. That, among other things, is a way without relying on us having any shared metaphysical framework, any shared religious tradition, nonetheless, to do the same thing that he's describing a certain kind of prayer doing in the kind of church that he grew up around, to make sure that after something big has happened in a room, the energy is going beyond the
mm,
person who might look like they were the one it was coming from. And that, oh, yeah, that's something that I've carried with me for a long time now.
mm, mm. I love that story. And it's so important.
Hmm.
It's so important, like to feed where it's coming from. It needs to be fed, it needs to be acknowledged so that it doesn't eat your life.